Welcome back. I'm Courtney and this is the Accounting Struggle, where we speak about our struggles with accounting openly and honestly. We do not run from them. In today's video, I'm going to be sharing with you 5 things that you should be doing on your accounting resumes. So let's get started. I just wanted to go over this because I know that the girls are out here looking for new jobs, whether you're still in school and you're looking for your first accounting job or if you're an experienced hire. These tips should be helpful for you. So accounting certifications, that should be the first thing that you see on your resume. So right at the top, you want to include any accounting certifications that you have that are relevant to whatever role you're going for. And honestly, I think if it's an accounting role, any accounting certification should be included, even if it's not specifically relevant to that particular role. I would still throw it on there just to let the girls know I'm very certified, I'm very credentialed out here. That's what I would do, just putting that out there. Now, if you are CPA eligible and you are you're not completely done with the process, you're not licensed yet, you do want to put when you will be done or when you are expected to be done, or if you are thinking about taking the CPA, you know you want to take it, that's part of your plan, but you're not eligible to sit yet, you want to include when you will be eligible to sit for the CPA exam. So you would say, I know on my resume I had like expected 150 credit hours May 2016. So, because that was a long time ago. So you would just put that right on the top when you're going to have everything that you need and when you're going to be able to meet the requirements to become eligible to sit for the exam. So that's something that you want to include because people who are recruiting or hiring managers will definitely be considering that, especially if it is something that's a part of your role. So if you're going into public accounting, CPAs are usually required at some point or expected at some point. So they want to know that that's something you're thinking about, especially if it comes down to you and another candidate and they don't have it listed and you at least have it listed like halfway there, or I have it, or I've got one more section or something to that nature. Then you would likely, if that's the only differential between your two resumes, then that could be, you know, a foot in the door that the other person doesn't have. So you definitely want to be including your accounting certifications on your resume. The next thing you want to include is your accounting GPA. Now, if your accounting GPA is lower than your overall by like a lot and it's not that impressive, but your overall GPA is hitting on something, I would just put that there. But a lot of jobs do want to see your accounting GPA because they don't really care as much if you killed it in economics. If they're hiring specifically for an accounting role, they want to know that you did well in certain classes, and your GPA absolutely does matter. So I know that there are a lot of people who have this idea that, oh, people don't care what you graduated with, they just want to know that you have your degree. That is relevant maybe in some fields of study, but accounting is not one of them. They want to see your GPA, they want to see your transcript when you're hired. So even if you have like a 3.5 GPA, which is like average for CPA firms, or a lot of accounting roles want at least like a 3.3 at a minimum. But they want to, once you are brought on, so even if they hired you, you accepted a full-time offer, when you are about to start, they still are like, okay, girl, let me see your transcript, because they want to make sure that you kept it all together, even if your final semester, you don't just let that fall apart. So your GPA definitely does matter. They care about your grades. They want to know how you did well in intermediate accounting or in certain accounting courses. That is stuff that really does matter. So you do want to put that on your resume. However, if your GPA is lower than a 3.3, leave it off. Don't even put it on there. And that's not shade at anybody who is not excelling in accounting, because I get it. However, don't put that on there. Let them ask the question and then you have the face-to-face conversation. But do not put it on there if it's less than a 3.3. I'm just telling you what God loves, and that's the truth. So of course you want to put your work experience. Any accounting relevant work experience that you have should be right at the top. Now it can be something, even if you haven't done an internship yet, it can be an externship. Anything that you've done that is even remotely relevant to accounting, that is the work experience that you want to list first. Now, of course, if you're a junior or you are like a sophomore applying for an accounting internship and you're doing that kind of resume, so then you wouldn't typically have that type of experience to put on there, but you want to take whatever relevant work experience that you do have and draw draw in your accounting points. So however that works, whatever that looks like for you, there's a ton of examples on YouTube where you can figure out how to tie in accounting or whatever your field of study is that you're applying for into what you've already done. So if you only ever worked at the local amusement park and you worked on the cash register, there are so many ways that you can flavor that up to sound like accounting relevant experience. You just have to find the ways to do that. That's not my zhuzh, so I'm not going to go into too many details about how to do that, but look into it and find ways to make the experience that you have tie into the accounting job that you're applying for. Now, let's say you did do an internship already and the work that you did was very trivial. Maybe it was just like a very short internship over the summer. You didn't really get to do a lot of work. So you don't feel like you have much to say about that role. You don't want to just plainly list out bullet points of like scanned in tax organizers. So if you were a tax intern, let's say for the summer, tax summers are typically pretty slow. Not a whole lot of work for interns to do. So if all they had you do was organize documents every couple of days and the rest of the time was spent just studying for the CPA exam, then here's what you can do. So on your resume, instead of putting something like scanned in client tax organizers, you want to do something more like contributing to the overall efficiency of a client's tax preparation by organizing client PPC files and providing follow-up where needed. So that's basically just taking your current work and just adding some, it's not nonsense or fluff, but you're demonstrating how you actually did something that was valuable. So you don't want to just plainly list out bullet points of what you were doing in accounting. Like even if it literally was just fetching coffee, there's a way to do that to where it sounds like you were contributing something of value. And I'm sure there are ways that you can find that on the internet of how to do that, but you just don't want to be very plain. Be as descriptive as possible. So that brings me to my next point is when you are listing out all of your work experience, you want to be as detailed as possible, especially if you are someone who is applying as an experienced hire. Maybe you've done a couple of years of accounting and you're going into a new role. I had a recruiter specifically tell me that it is okay to go over that 1-page limit. That 1-page thing, she said that was more of a when you're still applying for your first job and you're going to like a career fair. But when you are an experienced hire and you have a lot to say because you have a lot of relevant experience, you want to be as detailed as possible and list out all of the work that is relevant. So even when with my resume, because I had a lot of background in tax accounting, I listed out the types of tax returns that I worked on, and she wanted me to specifically list out the tax forms. So 1120S, 1040, 990. I needed to be as detailed as possible. And even though that takes up a little bit more space, it just helps so that whoever is recruiting or hiring for a particular role, if they know specifically that they're looking for someone who does provision work and you don't have that on your resume, then that really will hurt you. Even if it is something that you've done, maybe you were just too plain or too vague in your description. So be as detailed as possible. Take a look at some sample resumes for roles that are similar to what you're applying for, just so that you're making sure you're getting all of the information in that you need to be getting in. Another thing to point out in your resume is what industries or what types of client work you've done. So if you'd worked in audit and you worked particularly in a specific industry or with certain types of clients, obviously you would never name those clients, but you maybe want to mention what type of client work you've done. So if you've been a lot in the banking industry or a lot of insurance, you want to name things that are relevant to the roles that you're looking for. So if I'm going to apply for a job now, let's say as an associate accountant at this in a bank, a large bank, let's just say, then I want to pull in that experience that I've had at a previous accounting role working on those types of clients. Even if I was just auditing banks, now I'm going strictly into banking or insurance or whatever you're going to say. You want to make sure it's relevant. Like if you worked mainly on construction type clients and you're going to apply for banking job, then no, that doesn't match, so you don't really need to say that. But if there's something that you can point to say, hey, look, I'm really good at this, I have a lot of experience in this, that will definitely add to your resume. So you want to be as detailed as possible and just go out of your way to pull in the relevant information to tie it all together. So the fifth thing that I think you should be including in your accounting resume is any accounting organizations that you're involved in or a part of. So it can be your local, I mean, it has to be stuff that you're really involved in. You can't just like be out here lying. But if you are in school and you're a member of NABA, or if you're a member of Beta Alpha Psi, I'm naming the ones that I know, don't just list the organization, list your role. They want to know, what did you contribute? Were you just a part of that group because you knew it looked good on your resume, or did you actually do something in that group? Now, if you were simply a part of the group because it looked good on your resume, then if you still have time and you're still in this group, try and get more involved. I mean, that's just an aside. But you then, of course, then just list the organization. But if you had a role, like you were secretary or treasurer or president, whatever, you definitely want to include that and be speaking to that experience and what you did in that role, because that's something else that you can use as a demonstration of, like, here, I managed all of these courses while also balancing this role as president of my chapter of NABA or whatever it is. So definitely include that. It could also be like volunteer work that you've done. If you've done like VITA for the volunteer income tax assistance, I'm not sure if that's the right acronym, but it's something to that effect. If you have done any of that type of work, or if you even just volunteered like at your church helping out with you know, maybe you were on the finance ministry for like a summer, any of that type of volunteer work that you did or anything like that would be helpful to include on your resume, especially if it is accounting related. So those are the 5 things that I have. I think that these are very specific to accounting, but I'm sure that every industry type has, you know, if you're here and you're watching, you just stumbled through somehow. If you are in another industry, I'm sure that there are similar key points that you would want to take away from this. But for accounting, you want to specifically be listing these things that are relevant to accounting, because anything too vague is not going to really get you noticed. So be sure to add this to your resume if it's not already on there, and keep it updated. Even if you're not right now looking for a job might be looking for you. So you need to stay ready so you do not have to get ready. Amen. So that is it for today. I hope that you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, be sure to give it a thumbs up and subscribe. I would love to have you here as a part of our community. And yeah, that's it. So thank you so much for watching. I will see you in the next video. Bye.